Welcome to the Poro Podcast. I am CP34, aka the Big Dipper.
And I am Mike Lake, aka Mike Lake.
It's just Mike Lake today.
I'm on business time today.
Right. This is a Presents episode.
This is Poro Presents. Laquita, Scott, how you doing?
I am great. How are you guys?
We good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. We 100% appreciate you sitting in with us here, or virtually sitting in with us.
Pleasure. It's not the same energy, but I love it. I'm happy to do it.
It transcends. We can feel it.
We can feel
it.
Okay, it's a vibe still. Okay.
And the dogs are in the kennel, so we good. Everything good.
Yes. Don't judge me. Do not.
No.
Don't judge me.
Hey, listen. If I can get rid of them, I would.
No. Oh Lord.
Oops.
I'm
gonna be on the doorstep now.
Right.
So the usually you know how we play around with our AKAs, and I would do yours, but I feel like we'll be here a long time talk about all the hats you wear and everything you do. But I'm gonna let you give it to them. Can you introduce yourself to the people?
Oh, my name is Laquita T. Sky. I'm pretty much an investor. I'm a realtor. I own a trucking company. Basically, I invest in anything that helps me make money and passively. And then I'm a coach as well, a business coach.
An author, and there's more.
Yeah, there's more. There's a lot more.
A lot. I'm an investor and a coach. I think that's
the main first.
Yeah.
Well, where you want to start?
I want to start because I get to follow her. I follow her on her IG, of course, because that's, it's good to get inspiration from everyone. Yes, absolutely. I've been noticing so part of your investment is that you buy properties.
Yeah.
And you don't just buy them, you flip them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm not a person that's like just a flipper or just a buy and hold person. It really just depends on a property. So I feel like if you know how to buy, right, when you get a specific property, you'll know what to do with it. So anytime I go into invest into a property, it's like, oh, I might want a rental in my portfolio at the time. But if it's in a place where everybody owns their home, I'm probably going to flip it. That makes more sense, right? So I can't just rent out a place where it's like a buy and hold area, or if it's a place where everybody's renting, I'm not going to flip it there, right? So if it's like low income, everybody's renting in the area, it might be not too fitting for a regular single family home. Like, I'm not going to do it there. So I don't really say, hey, I'm just a flipper. I'm really just an investor. If it makes sense, I'm going to do it.
Right.
But I understand the basics. I think understanding how it goes is really important, so you know your exit strategy. You must have an exit strategy.
What do you mean by that, Laquita? What do you mean by exit strategy?
You just gotta know what you're gonna do with the property when you get it. Just like I was saying before, like I'm not gonna go into an area and everybody's renting and then try to put a family that's wanting to settle down and be there for a while. Like I have a lot of Section 8 properties. I'm not gonna flip in the area. I'm gonna do a buy and hold in that area.
Yeah.
How did you?
So when I go into it, I know what I'm going to do with it.
How do you get to that level of? Because I'm sure the first time you jump into something like this, it's like everything you're saying is dope and amazing, and whoever follows you will get those gems. But it has to be that person that's like, I'm ready to buy and flip, and they just trying to buy and flip everywhere and making mistakes. Like, how do you get past the growing pains, like to the level where you are?
I don't think that you can cheat the system. I think it's part of the process, right? So initially, I was just like that too. So in 2011, I got my first real estate license. And at the time, I thought you needed a real estate license to invest in real estate. That is completely untrue, right? So my mother, who was an agent, I was like, oh, no, I don't want to be an agent. But I knew that if you flip, that's the only thing I knew at the time, that if you flip properties, you can make money. And then I also knew that investors make profit. Agents, they make commissions. So that stayed in my mind. I was like, dang. So I was getting my first master's degree at the time. And then on my break, I actually went and got a real estate license because at the time I thought you needed to be an agent, right? So more so trial and error. And when I got there, I was in New Orleans. I went to Tulane for a master's in social work. I also have a master's in business. At the time, everybody there was buying a duplex, staying in one side, and renting out the other.
Yeah.
Right? But in a place like New Orleans, in that area, that's actually pretty common, depending on where you are. Like I'm in Florida. You guys are in Florida. It's not really as much. So again, I think you got to know your exit strategy. You also have to know your market. What works in my market may not work in your market. So in New Orleans, that was the thing. right? So I thought that you needed to get your license, but the trial and error told me that, hey, you don't
Not
actually have to
quite.
get your license, right?
Yeah.
But part of who I am is trying to figure out how to make money off of everything that I do, right? Because everything is a learning experience. I don't think that you actually take the L. You look at it in the moment like, dang, I really didn't want to go through this, or I didn't have to go through this. But in having my real estate license, there is so much that I learned in that class. So when I was ready to actually buy my first property, I knew how to buy like an investor. I knew what the agents were thinking. You know what I mean? Like I
Because
had
you were
more
on both
knowledge
sides.
about exactly. I
Yeah.
had more knowledge about it. And then when I got to a different level, because I was a financial advisor for a while, I'm sure we're gonna talk about it. But when I when I got on a different level, it was like, dang, because I was known for managing money and then being really good with my own portfolio. When I actually told people, because initially I just wanted to invest, right? So nobody really knew I had these licenses. So I had it in Louisiana, and then I came to Florida and I got one, right? But because I was a financial advisor, nobody knew I had a real estate license too. So when I put it out there, it was like, dang, I can
Yeah.
invest and I can come back and sell your property. You know what I mean? So I think
Right.
everything is just trial and error. But if you learn to take whatever knowledge that you gain and actually apply it, which most people don't do, right? We learn a whole bunch of stuff, but it's all irrelevant unless
Yeah.
you
It's just
actually apply the
info.
information.
Yeah.
Right. So in my mind, my now investor, full-time entrepreneur, financial advisor brain has learned to try to flip anything to make more money. So if it's something that costs me money, in the back of my mind, I'm like, dang, how can I make more money off of this? Like, there's another way
I'm
to
gonna
make money.
monetize it.
So, right, but it all came from everything that I know how to make more money in multiple ways came from me either learning something or having a bad experience with it and just trying to figure out, because that's when you really learn the most, what happened in that process to make it better. So there's no shortcut if that's what you're looking for.
And it's
Yeah.
so
So
funny because it's been some time since I've heard you say this. Again, the first time I heard you was with another podcaster, and I'm going that my brain is exploding because it's like it's concepts that you're coming up with are not the concepts I know you learned in your real estate books. You're piecing stuff together, right? If I'm
Right.
not correct, you were so this is not one person told you this from this person. You're taking this aspect from real estate class, this aspect from financial advising, this aspect. But if I'm not correct, you're also in trucking.
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm.
you're taking these different aspects and you're applying it into this like funnel, right? To like, hey, how can I make money? And I think what I guess the question that I have is that what do you say to the Joe Schmo who's like, well, I got my real estate license, or I went and I got my business degree. I'm sitting here and I have maybe a couple bucks in my pocket. How do you get them to get to your level? How do they get there? Now, obviously, you ain't don't tell us the whole thing because that's your moneymaker as well. But give us a little bit of information as much as you can.
I think forward moving, like keep growing. Like the beginning of that story was, hey, I got my real estate license. At the time, I was getting a master's in social work, right? So I'm really good with like emotional intelligence for my master's in social work. And like you said, I piece everything together. So if I'm just talking to you guys, I'm like, dang, I like how they did the podcasting. I like the link that they sent me. You know what I mean? Like everything is turning for me. And I think that you can learn something from everyone. But I didn't just jump off the bridge and just started doing everything at one time. It was like I slowly applied everything that happened in my life as opposed to like I gotta make $1 million today. I tell people, hey, just make 100. So if you can find
start
something
there.
on the side that
Yeah.
allows you to make 100, then if you can make 100, you can make 1,000. You can make 1,000, you can make 10,000. I really believe that. And something else that I've been seeing a lot lately is your financial ceiling. So if you guys follow me, one of the things that I don't think that I was able to articulate it in such a way before, but something that really has my wheels turning is like, man, we never really realized that we had a financial ceiling at some point. And most people actually do. You think that you're only capable of making X amount of money. So I would think for me, $10,000 a few years ago was actually a bunch of money. And it's not a bad thing at all. If you make $10,000, you can pretty much live a decent
Yeah.
life, a comfortable
Yeah,
life, right?
yeah,
But it may not be the exact life that you're looking for. It may not even be you hitting your full potential. It's something somewhere along the lines. Anytime I pull my actual like followers or talk to anybody, the magical number is 10,000. I have no idea where we got it
Where
from.
who started that?
But
right.
right, but everybody's like, man, if I make 10,000, man, if I can make six figures, it's up. And I'm like, dang, when did that become some type of financial ceiling? And I realized, like, hey, that's actually not even a lot of money. I just challenge everybody to, like, if you're making 5 right now, then change the standards to 7 in your head, and then continuously grow from there. But I don't think that you should think like, hey, let me go from 6,000 a month to 60,000 a month. It's totally possible, but highly unlikely. I think that if you move in baby steps, then you'll keep going forward. So to answer your question, it's just to take what you know, apply it as quickly as possible, and then don't put any pressure on yourself about like, oh, if I didn't make it, right? So if people had this backstory where it's like, well, I'm not supposed to be here, or I'm making $5,000 a month and my mom only made 3,000, so I'm doing well, which I hear very, very often. Like, do not put that ceiling on yourself. Like, if you do great, great. If you just make a little bit of movement every month, even better. Like, just keep going. I think that my journey, or anybody's journey that people see on Instagram, is really a highlight of all the good stuff. We don't say every little thing that was bad that happened. And most people I know took some hits, but the thing that I feel like we all have in common is we take the hits and we keep moving very, very fast. The thing that I notice, even with a lot of clients, is more so if you get some type of hit, whether it was in the beginning of your life, currently, like, it keeps you down way too long. And some people never get back up. The people that I find do very well in life, they take the hits and they really keep going. It's part of the journey. Oh, my AirPods fell off.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. As long as you can still hear us.
What's that?
No, it was good.
No, I was waiting for her to fix her. So one of the things you were talking about was setting those goals, hitting them, being aware of the situation. You know, learning from you said it's not an L, but it's a lesson. You know, turning those losses into lessons. I want to read you one of your IG posts, and I want to get into this because we're talking about the difference between a job or your regular career entrepreneurship. You say a lot of people struggle to create a successful business or an additional income source because entrepreneurship requires a lot more discipline and self-awareness than working a regular job. Talk to him a little bit about that. I know that was a whole thread, but let's get it.
I feel like I've learned so much about myself and people. One thing that you also learn from me is I surround myself with people who think like me. It's really, really important for my energy. It's important for my business, and it's important for the stage of life that I'm in and the quality of life that I want. But most people, like, you get into entrepreneurship and then you have the ability to do whatever it is that you want to do, right? So we go from maybe we work part-time and we only had like a few hours to work on whatever side gig we were doing, to completely having 24 hours to do whatever you want to do, right? But if you don't work, you don't eat. So it's like, hey, now you're commission-based, right? The game changes, but the freedom changes, right? The perceived freedom changes anyway, right? In the beginning. But most entrepreneurs who are successful actually put in a lot of work up front, right? You have to be extremely disciplined to get it in when you have the ability. Nobody's watching. You can do whatever you want to do for those 24 hours.
Like,
right? And I forgot exactly what the theory is called because I'm really big into productivity. But it basically says if you give yourself 3 days to do something, then it's going to take 3 days. But if you give yourself 3 months to do something, then it's going to take 3 months. So people are actually more productive when they only have 4 hours to do something after work than when they have 24 hours to do something, right? So I think the difference between that is when you realize, like, hey, I have this guaranteed salary of, I don't know, $5,000-$6,000 a month versus I have the unlimited financial ceiling, but it doesn't come unless I put in X amount of time. And that's something like, that's a routine that you got to get used to. Like, you got to, for me, I feel like when you look good, you feel good, you know, you get stuff done. I'm more productive. Like, that's the thing in my head. Like, sometimes I have to get out of the house to get it done. Sometimes I need to go to the office. It's a whole different ballgame. I feel like people need to figure out how they learn, how they apply, and then how they get to the bag for real. Because in the beginning, you won't quite know. It's still trial and error.
Yeah, you gotta learn.
You're gonna mess up some of them days that you have 24 hours. But if you were working for whatever company, you wouldn't have blew off their 8 hours because somebody was watching you.
Yeah.
So I think that it's a lot harder to be an entrepreneur, specifically in the beginning. But I think that, in my opinion, I don't think that everybody is designed to be an entrepreneur. I think some people need more structure. But I think that if you have the ability, you do. But if you have the ability to create your own structure, I think that the financial feeling that you will gain from it all is worth it. And for me, it's more about the time free. Like if anything ever happens, like I had a situation with my grandfather, I had to leave immediately, right? Nobody can tell me anything. That's worth everything for me. Just to own my time, to own how I want to do life, and then to do it on my own level. So now I'm able to live a life that I feel like is of luxury, right? Without anybody watching over me. But that came with a significant amount of discipline, specifically in the beginning.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because we've been talking and we're going to keep talking about it. Like, let's get to the bag, chasing that money, being an entrepreneur, and all the things that's. I was going to ask you, is it all about the money? But you get that fulfillment from the freedoms that you give yourself by setting it up in the beginning.
Right. It's tough. It's extremely tough in the beginning. But I think that if you keep your why as your motivator, it really helps you get through. Like for me, I don't have any children yet, but ever since I was a little girl, I knew that I wanted to provide my children a certain standard of life. Like that was extremely important to me, and it still is. So to have them pretty much secured before they even born, I'm like, damn, I didn't even know that was a real thing. But going back, this is when I realized putting everything together, like you said before. I was a financial advisor, and I remember doing wealth planning for some of my clients, and they were planning for their unborn children. So everything really comes back full circle. I didn't know that was a thing in my community.
The
like
blueprint.
what?
Not
it's
ours.
not.
No.
That's not a thing. We don't even plan the children.
Yeah.
So that's that. So
Right.
no, you're right. And
Mine
so
just showed up.
Right, just knocked on your door one day.
Stork brought him.
The stork, the stork. But it's funny that you said
true.
that. It's funny that you said earlier too that not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, because we have a good friend, Tanya Jones, who also does real estate in St. Petersburg, who said the same thing. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, and I think that's you might be cutting a lot of people in the gut by saying that, but it's the truth, right? Because I think so many people, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to build this, but they don't have that. Well, you got to be working sometimes 26 hours a day, and it's only 24. You know.
But I don't think. But to clear it up, I don't think that everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur, but I do think that everybody is meant to be an investor, and that's different.
Okay. Ooh, yo. Can I ask you this question?
You got to invest in something.
I want to ask. I see you got. No, you good. It's all about you. So you cut me off anytime you want to, and I don't know if I'm stepping on toes, because I saw it over there and it's a hot button for me. Also, one of your posts, one of your posts here, I'm stealing Mike's notes, says a client will become a friend quicker than a friend will become a client. Ooh, please speak on that.
See, I don't really have the message talk for you.
Come on now.
See, media
social media is also a bit of an interacting thing. Sometimes I post stuff that I know would be more relatable to other people, right? I have honestly had a lot of success in that area where my hometown has supported me crazy, my family has supported me like crazy, but I know that it's not sustainable. And then I do a lot of coaching, right? My favorite thing to do is one-on-one coaching. I think that you get the most benefit out of that, especially in the beginning, to get structured, to get guidance, to get some of those. I don't think you have to make all the mistakes, right? So it's an opportunity for you to learn from somebody who's been there, done that type of thing, and then allows you to be vulnerable. So the reason that I posted that is because a lot of people can relate to it, and social media is about engagement. But I do agree that sometimes, especially in my profession, luckily I've been on the other side of it. So ever since I was a little girl, I was selling stuff at school and trading pencils and all of that most entrepreneurs do. People confided in me about money. I was a little girl who always had money. I was 16 years old. I bought a brand new car. I put down $8,500. I went to college. I paid the car off the following year. Like I've always been like very money focused. If I want it, I'm going to get it. And I'm sure a lot of it came from my mother because she's the same exact way.
She's the same way.
So yeah. So for me, it was a little different, but honestly, most people, you're not going to get that support. I think for me, because I also talk money and then I teach you how to make money, there's not a soul out here that says, hey, I want to make money. Like, I can talk to anybody.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Right.
No, nobody cut me off on that story. So, but most likely your family and your friends, dang, this thing keep coming up.
It's okay.
Hold on. Your family and your friends won't actually do it. So if I was selling yogurt, if I was selling some one-off thing, right, they probably wouldn't be as supportive, right? Because they're not just supporting me on the strength of just supporting me. they're supporting me on the strength of they're getting
puts
something
money in
from
their
me.
pocket.
So so I think that that's a little different. But I don't think that people should get hung up on it either. I think that if you went into business and that's the only clients you had, it wouldn't work anyway. So for me, I think that I think business is very much so not getting emotional about much of anything, and that's a big thing that I've had to learn. Because I've gotten emotional about things like, oh, I wouldn't do this to this person, or this client shouldn't talk. Right, this client shouldn't talk to me like this, or I tried to help this person and they tried to stab me in the back. Like I had a lot of moments where I just feel like that is wrong. Like that is really wrong. But it's also part of business. A lot of the industries that I work in are male driven. I'm a woman, right? A woman who looks, I think, fairly young. You know, I'm coming in here. I'm trying to.
We ain't gonna ask you how old he is, but you do look fairly young. Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of assertive. Right. So when I go places, it's a little different. So for me, I think just being knowledgeable of whatever field you're in, being confident, and then also being able to manage your emotions, whether that's with friends, clients, your boo thing, whomever. Because I always say sometimes it's just going to be you and God. And it doesn't mean necessarily the support. It might be the work side of it. It might be like, dang, I cannot push out this work right now that I know I need to do by Sunday at 5 p.m. You just don't have the energy. Maybe something happened in your life. Business is hard, and business doesn't stop anything that's going on personally, right? So there's a lot of days I had to push through when things were going on with me personally. So I think that if you let your emotions kind of lead your journey, you're gonna be in for some stuff that you ain't ready for. But if you can understand that it's all part of the journey and data is everywhere, like you were saying, I kind of pick up on stuff. I just feel like you're gonna be great. But invest in something, even if it's not running your business.
Can I pivot us real quick, just a little bit? I'm gonna put myself on the hot seat.
Okay.
Let's talk about credit. And credit, we may say person A is me. Credit needs a little love. And person B, credit might be a little nice, and I can only imagine what yours is. It's something that I wouldn't even say preach. It's something that you speak on a lot. Building credit. Tell us about some of the. This ain't even feel like the kids just coming into credit. People who might be in my position that need a little loving on their credit. How do we get that up?
I think it's more so about credit building. So for me, like understanding your credit report, understanding the lines that are on there, understanding if you did have some hiccups in the past, what's hurting you more so than others. Like if you had something within the last year versus if you had something that was a few years ago, should you focus on credit repair versus credit building? I'm more so of a credit building person. Help you understand what it means to get credit and also what it means to build it, because I feel like bad credit is very expensive. A lot of us actually have money.
Absolutely.
Right. So a lot of us actually have money. I found, and I talked to a ton of people that have money. We don't know what to do with our money, but specifically, we have been around people who are bad credit. Either credit was a thing where it's just like, oh no, credit is bad in general, or
it's
you
like
messed
fear.
it up and like it's. I don't want to say it's bad. I think it's internal, like depending on what your environment was at the time. So for me, with my environment, my mother always talked about credit being a good thing. In fact, being better than cash. So it stuck because I was so young and my mom was talking about credit so much. And then I have family members who it wasn't like that. And she'll give an example. So I was like, damn, I can't be living like that.
Yeah, you want to be them.
Right.
Right. It was really, she would always talk about it, but she never went into detail. So my mom never really taught me about credit per se. It would just be something like, because my credit good, I can go to the lot and get whatever I want. Or she had all those credit cards. So we were always fine and she knew how to manage it. So as I got older, I understood more so about credit, but then I understood credit building as far as like credit limits. And then also so the credit bureaus basically, or the creditors in general, they're looking at your whole file. So a lot of us are like, hey, we're in the 700 club. And then they're still getting denied for certain things.
Yeah, because you still got stuff on there.
Your actual profile doesn't look strong enough. So I teach people how to build a stronger credit profile and not just focus on the score. And also what to do with the damn credit. Because the number one thing people talk about all the time is an 800 credit score or $100,000.
And they ain't doing that
money because you don't know what to do with the score, no way.
Right.
Yeah.
Laquita,
But
I
yeah,
want to
so
ask you.
I feel like you should definitely work on building that profile. And I think a lot of my assets come from having really good credit and knowing what to do with it. Because we look at debt as a bad thing, and I preach is the right word for me.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely to do something with
Right.
your assets, but to learn how to do it, you have to do it responsibly. So all of my books actually have a disclaimer to say, hey, this could go left. There's risk in this process if you do
Yeah.
it wrong. But I think if you really understand it and you really are disciplined, then you should use your debt, your good debt, to make you more money. It has literally helped me build up.
I appreciate that.
I think it's just crazy too. A lot of people just don't know just how much they are in control of their credit. A lot of people don't even know that even if you have a ding on your credit, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Laquita, you can dispute that stuff. There are tricks and trades and things that are out there that you can get your credit score up. Ain't nothing quick, right? And I think that's like, talk a little bit of, everybody wants to get rich quick. Everybody wants to raise their credit quick. Is that a pipe dream?
Yeah, everybody doesn't need to repair their credit again, though. So some people, like I said, because it's not a quick process, I think that there are some people who dispute credit reports and do well. And I think that you should always be monitoring your credit report, right? Because not a lot, but some of the stuff is actually on there and it shouldn't be there, right? So you should be aware of it. But I've had so many people who come to me, and because they know their credit is messed up, they haven't checked it forever. It's like out of sight, out of mind. Like, I ain't messing with this. But
I ain't
Right.
gotta feel bad if I don't see it.
Right,
Right.
but you're hurting yourself because bad credit is actually expensive, and so many people actually pull your credit, whether you know it or not, before they give you whatever, right? So if
Even
it's
jobs.
costing me, right, if it's
Especially
costing
Johnson.
me $400 or $500 for a car note, but it's costing you $700-800 for a car note, that is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing with the house. You can't get a house because your credit is bad. You can't get whatever because your credit is bad. Like, why not focus on fixing your credit or getting through whatever that is? And again, it might not be hurting you as bad as you think. You may just need to build some credit. You may not
Yeah.
have enough lines, but you might have money. So I think that if you have money, you should definitely invest in fixing your credit and understanding it. Because if you can play off of your credit, you're going to make a hell of a lot more money than you can see right now.
I love it.
Whew.
Just leave speeches for half a
I
second.
know.
And that is something for the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years. I've had the blessing to get promoted a couple times and have some income to repair some of that old stuff. I didn't have a whole lot of bad credit. It wasn't like I had no credit card debt. I have no credit card debt. It's just old stuff from like my 20s when I had a young kid and car note here, car note there, something like that. But as those things fall off, I can say now I'm in the 700 club, but I do have some stuff on there. And hearing even just now, as you say, build your current credit so that new stuff can show where you at with it now as you paid off the other stuff too is definitely something I'm gonna take into account as I keep going forward.
You said you don't have any credit card debt?
I don't have any because when I started out young, I used to work at a credit card company, but also I wouldn't say I never needed a credit card. Once the credit got bad because of those car notes and stuff, it was just something I was like, you know what? Rather than paying 24% APR on something, I'm gonna just pay what I could pay for. As I have rebuilt the credit, I'm looking towards getting like a secure credit card, stuff like that, to start building positive credit. Because, like I said, I used to work at the company, and I know how that helps you in the long run, especially as I look toward getting a house and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
That-
definitely get some credit cards. So a lot of credit cards, you may not even need secured. It depends, but a lot of credit cards start at 0% for 12 to 18 months. So that's something to take into account. I also have an ebook that's called my favorite ebook. It's called Good Credit Now What, and I talk about how I use my credit and then why it's important. But even outside of the ebook, honestly, get some credit because the crazy part is, in order for you to build, you actually have to take on this level of debt. Now you can pay it
Yeah,
back without interest before, right? Before
yeah.
you do anything. But if you don't know to actually get these credit cards, whenever you do go out to get a home, it might be more difficult. Whenever you do go out to get a new car, it might be more difficult. So just position yourself today for what you know is coming in the future.
Go ahead.
A little tangent from this is still credit based, building business credit. Like we're entrepreneurs and we started this media company, Shift Division Media, where the Pour Up is a part of it. Where do we jump in on that business credit? Like we have an account, we're sitting in a good position, and I'm sure we can get some credit cards or loans or something. But what would be the smart move first?
Again, I started out with my personal credit. So I think that if you're looking to get cash inside of your business, then you're going to need some credit, right?
Okay.
But I think, I don't know what your ultimate goal is, kind of like real estate, you have to know your exit strategy. So inside of each of my businesses, or even what I teach, is more so like if you have to show up every time you make a dollar, you're going to really struggle to build wealth, right?
Yeah.
So for each of my businesses, I try to position myself that you won't always see me, whether that's a PG or that's not showing my face or whatever the case may be. Like I want to remove myself from the company in a way that allows me to have financial freedom or allows me to actually sell the business, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I tell people do both. So hopefully you have good credit of one and you have good credit to actually get you some cash funds to put some money to put some money into the business.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I think at the same time, you should actually build credit without your social security number. And you probably heard of like the tier one accounts, tier two accounts. It's more so of a process. And you won't get much, but it allows you to put something into your business to show, hey, you know, these people have been paying us. And it also allows them to say how long they have been paying us. So when you do go to get other assets in the future, it's easier. And I wouldn't say it's tricking the system, but you want to give yourself a business score, right? So if you have a personal credit score, you want to make sure that you have a business credit score. So for me, I think that you should do them both. So you can start off and get more, whether you put yourself on the back or not. But the exit strategy, hopefully, is one day that this operation, this enterprise can work without you guys actually interviewing.
Absolutely.
Kind of like
Yeah.
Earn Your Leisure, right? They have so many
Right.
podcasts going on right now, and they just picking hot people and they putting them in the seat. They have
Yep.
a great platform. The people that they're picking have a great platform, and they're getting a percentage still off of Earn Your Leisure platform, right? But it doesn't require that they actually show up for every single podcast that they have. It's all about positioning.
Oh, definitely appreciate that. We're going to take those tips, and we here for the business class. You have a consultation or one-on-one. Where can people find you to get into these types of conversations, but in more in depth?
Yeah, so it may or may not be in my bio because we're debating on taking it out.
You
Because
get too many hits.
it's a lot. I love them. I actually prefer one-on-ones, but we're in the process of doing like a mentorship and doing a few other things that allow me to get to more people, and then at a certain scheduled time. So it may or may
I'm
be
feeling
in
that.
my bio by the time you air this and not.
Y'all,
If not, ltsandassociates.com, or you can go to my Instagram, Laquita T. Scott, click on the strategy call, and then you can have a one-on-one with me.
or look out for the classes, because I might jump in one of those when you put it together. That sounds dope.
I think the value of what you do, not just for yourself, but for our community, is pretty high. I think, like you said before, we don't even know. My mama was like your mother. Like good credit, how you build credit, all of that stuff. But a lot of our mamas don't do that. And if you didn't have a mama do that, you have Laquita Scott now. So make sure y'all tap into her, because I again, every time you talk about this, it's now my second time I've heard you go through this. I have to sit on it, and it blows my mind.
Yeah.
It blows my mind every time. So
Thank you.
that's pretty amazing. Do you have something else?
No, I was just not the
Go ahead.
the poor presents Laquita Scott, right? Laquita T. Scott. To be so young and you look good, you're out here working, you dress well, you carry yourself well, you speak well, and you know your shit, to put it bluntly, and that is so dope. I love seeing the optics and being in a room with you, talking to you. People need to find you and follow you, because the tips is real and they raw. I like how you just hit them with the facts, and you're like, hey, here's a thread, and you'll hit them with six tiles, and the information's right there in front of you. But it might mean something different to Laquita and her businesses, Mike and his, but the follower might have their own things that they can apply to. And I just really appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Yeah, 100.
Thank you.
And on that note, I didn't have anything else.
No, I was going to, Laquita, is there anything you want to promote or put out there to the people? Because we definitely want to get you back to your money, because I know we keep you from it.
Yeah, I'm fine. I just want to say thank you guys for having me again. The energy is always great. I love the fact that you said I'm raw, because I do like to go straight to the point. I don't like all the extra stuff. So I know that I might not be for everybody with that, but the community needs to hear this for sure, and quickly.
And we'll take it.
That's all right. You okay? You okay?
But you can find me at Laquita T. Scott on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or ltsassociates.com.
Awesome.
I'm gonna pick up one of them ebooks. I'm gonna get that good credit. What now?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk to you about it. I'll message you.
Right.
Yes.
And I'll close on this note because I love how you say people don't know they think 10,000 is great. And because my wife all the time goes, I always ask her, what is enough? She goes, it's never going to be enough. And so I think we all got to have that thought pattern, right? It's never going to be enough. Always be chasing more because you are capable of more. So,
yeah.
I love it. So, hey,
thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
The Poor presents Laquita T. Scott. Thank you. I am Mike Lake.
CP34, aka the Big Dipper. And this has been the Poor Podcast, not just a podcast.